Hello and welcome. Today we will be talking about limits and derivatives. I've added a few new tier effects. Anyway, I've decided to put the topic first. That way, if people check out the video and aren't really sure what it's about, this way it doesn't look like it's only about the Binding of Isaac. So, with that out of the way, I don't have a whole lot of time to record today, but this is simply the nature of any sort of daily challenge like this for myself, that is, so let's get into it. Now, I am someone who's pretty good at math. I've done a lot of math. I've tutored math a few times as well, and this is a topic that I've kept in reserve for days when I'm not sure what to talk about, really, and I don't have that much time to prepare either. So this is gonna be a little more off the cuff than usual, but rest assured, this is a topic I am very well studied in. And the motivation for talking about this in the first place is because having tutored math a few times, well, more than a few times really, students, at least in America, really struggle with the curriculum, and I don't blame them. I'm not gonna risk that, because the United States curriculum, both in public schools and in universities for calculus classes, are not great. Firstly, calculus classes in college tend to not be great because even though not that many professionals really use calculus all that often at all, ever, the classes are still mandatory for freshmen and engineering programs because it's sort of treated as a weed-out class. In other words, you only have so many slots that the university can truly provide for engineering students, so they create this sort of competition of who can do calculus the best in order to keep their spots, which is not great. Of course, I don't mean to judge universities too harshly in this, because this is a more complex problem than it looks like on the surface. Darn. But regardless, it isn't a great state to be in where you're forced to learn calculus, because if you don't, then you don't get not career, but the degree program of your choice. And I have known a few people that have been very sad. Let me put it that way. Very, very depressed over their lack of calculus skills because they really wanted to be part of some engineering degree, and unfortunately, they just didn't make the cut. Very, very sad. And I recognize that not everyone wants tutoring, and a lot of people don't like math in general. Oh. Talking about math can bring up bad memories. For some people, it's not something that's really for everyone. I wish it were, but some people are simply more suited for it than others. And for one reason or another, I'm pretty good at it, and I want to share that goodness. Well, at least I got health. And luck. I need speed, though. If I want this to be fast. Now that's enough delay. Let's get into it. So there are 3 parts of calculus, generally speaking. The first one is limits, the second one is derivatives, and the third and final one is integrals. I don't think I'll be able to get through integrals today, but I'll be sure to try and talk as much as possible about derivatives and limits, and about the flaws in the American education system. But again, probably not integrals, at least not today. I think that was close enough to have possibly gotten the secret room if it were there, so I don't think it's there. What a great way to die. Okay, so limits. What is a limit, and why is it important? Because, again, one of the several problems of the American education system in regards to math is that they never really explain where things come from in the curriculum or why they matter. So a limit is a rather foundational part of math, and it's effectively trying to find some way to prove that a sequence goes somewhere specific. Now, a sequence is really just a collection of states. It could be anything. I mean, generally we're talking about numbers, right? So, typically a sequence is a collection of numbers. Maybe it goes somewhere, maybe it doesn't. For example, you could consider the sequence of the natural numbers, that is... Well, okay, I might get into a fight here with whether 0 should be included, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. This trends to infinity. It goes to infinity. It blows up to infinity. However you want to describe it, I've heard quite the variety of descriptions. But again, these natural numbers just keep going up and up and up. Oh. And they don't stop. And when that happens, we call their eventual destination infinity, even though it's not really a number, it's more of a concept, although in some contexts, it could still be treated as a number, which gets under people's skin. But what if it doesn't continue upwards forever? What if we have a sequence of numbers that heads to a specific place? A very, very easy sequence that has a clear destination would be the sequence 1 over n. So where n is a natural number, you see this a lot in math. N typically stands for a natural number. Hey, there's the speed I need. So 1 over n means the first element of the sequence is 1 over 1. I suppose I am excluding 0 from being a natural number right now. And then we have 1 over 2, 1 over 3, 1 over 4, and so on and so forth. So we have these decreasing fractions, right? Now, pretty clearly, these fractions get closer and closer to 0. Which means that the limit of this sequence is that it goes towards 0. Now, how a limit is defined itself varies a... Sorry, I almost said varies a bit. That is absolutely not true. Here's a cool graphic that I have overlaid over gameplay now. So, effectively, a sequence has a limit if the tail end of the limit is able to be contained within some bounds. And moreover, if those bounds are able to themselves go towards a single point, that is, the upper bound and lower bound of the sequence both agree on what the final limit is. Focusing. It is possible for sequences to not converge to a single number, in which case it is said that they diverge. But there are two types of divergence. Either a sequence can trend towards infinity, positive infinity or negative infinity, or the sequence can oscillate, or otherwise jump around in a region rather than ever settling on one specific number. So maybe you're already familiar with limits, but the question is, for a lot of students, is why does this matter? Well, being able to identify trends and mathematically prove that they're going somewhere is generally pretty useful. Even though not many of these situations come up in the real world, before long we will be getting to cases that absolutely affect the real world. Again, sorry if this curriculum today is a little off the hook. I'm just trying to teach something I'm kind of passionate about while panicking in game. Oh, yep. Maybe I should have panicked harder. Let's see, the next thing in a natural sort of progression of topics would be series. Oh, that's disappointing. So, let me remove this. I almost forgot about it. Sorry about that. I don't want to force people to stare at math too long. I know it makes people cranky. So, what if your sequence is, or rather, what if all of the elements in your sequence are added together one after another in some sort of summation? And this is effectively what a series is. Okay. Oh, right, this room. I'll keep the hangman. Actually, I'll use that here. So in a series, it's a sequence of partial sums where you can sort of think of it as taking an existing series but just adding all of the elements together. And again, we're able to ask whether or not this converges to a specific number or not. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. It's a little unintuitive until you look at the math. Of course, there's a lot of math involved, a lot of proofs involved. It's not everyone's thing, but I assure you that I at least am able to find it pretty interesting. So if it's never been something too interesting to you, I would encourage you to maybe consider otherwise, for your own educational benefit, and also because I will find you. But don't worry too much about that second part. Okay. I'm gonna use this. because I am worried. Yuck. So, some examples of series. Let's start with some simple ones. There's the ever famous 1 over n squared. So in other words, you have 1 over 1. This is scary. Oh. So the first element of the sequence is 1 over 1. The second element that you then add to the first is 1 over 4, because it's 2 squared. Wow, very nice. I'm gonna use this to save on time. And then you have 1 over 9 being added next, and so on and so forth. And as it turns out, even though there are an infinite number of non-zero numbers that you're adding as part of this series, it actually converges. It doesn't go towards infinity. Again, I didn't look this up because I didn't do a whole lot of prep work for today, but if memory serves, I want to say it converges to something like pi squared over 6. There's an interesting way of proving that as well, but I'm not going to do that here. The important thing is that, again, what seems like something that should go towards infinity actually doesn't. It stops. And you don't need to go all the way out to infinity to be able to see that either. In other words, you can approximate the end result of a sequence by just summing the first several terms. Or if that's not enough, you could sum more and more. But you should generally see, in a lot of sequences, that it converges relatively quickly to whatever the final number is, and it doesn't stray too far away from it. Don't you dare. Okay. Yay! What am I doing? I should do this. And then do this. And then do this. Voila. Now, let's look at the sequence. Logically, the next sequence to look at would be, or series, rather. Sorry, not sequence. Would be 1 over n squared. Sorry, blanked. Brain stopped working for a second there. The next sequence of note would be 1 over n. I said sequence again, I meant series. Maybe it's because I'm not looking at any notes, I've just drawn a few things on paint.net. So, if 1 over n squared converges to a number, what about the sequence 1 over n? That is 1 plus 1/2 plus 1/3 plus 1/4. As it turns out, oh, you gotta be kidding me. As it turns out, this one doesn't. And that's kind of surprising. It doesn't match most people's intuition. This sequence, although we're getting smaller and smaller with every number added, actually diverges to infinity. It really doesn't seem like it should, and yet it does. And it's not even too difficult to prove that either. You can show that the numbers in the sequence... how do I explain this both technically and simplistically? You can show that you can come up with a finite formula wherein you represent... Yeah, I'll look. Okay, thanks. You can, cluster, you can group the elements of this sequence in such a way... I'll give this guy some so he gives me money. Well, time to die. You can show that the... And this is difficult, my apologies. You can show that there are an infinite number of sums of numbers that at least equal 1/2. To more concretely explain this, consider the following. I know I said I didn't have much time. Oh, none of those are great, which is perfect. Oh, Womb XL, that is unfortunate and difficult. Oh, and I lost it immediately. Well, it guarantees today's gonna be short, I suppose. Maybe I won't even have time to get to derivatives. Yikes. So consider the following. 1/2 is equal to 1/2, nothing surprising there. And then 1/3 plus 1/4 is at least equal to 2 times 1/4, because 1/3 is greater than 1/4, right? And 2 times 1/4 is another 1/2. Then consider 1/5 plus 1/6 plus 1/7 plus 1/8. That total is at least 4 times 1/8, which is again another 1/2. So even though it only very slowly, I need the health. Even though it only very slowly diverges to infinity, it still does diverge to infinity because you effectively have an infinite number of 1/2s that you were summing. I don't know how I dodged that one, but I'll take it. That is so disappointing. Need to lock in. No tinted rocks or anything. Nope. Of course not. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Okay. I hate you. I hate you. Even before he hit me, I hated him. Oh. This is not great. Why can't I get health? Oh, I didn't unlock anything new. Well, time to go again. You know, I think I'm going to be able to get to derivatives after all. Anyway, my point in discussing sequences in series and similar is just to showcase that sometimes they're pretty unexpected results. Sequences that don't feel like they should trend towards infinity that do, and sequences that do that feel like they shouldn't. Now, how is this important? Well, one series that does exist in real life that might be of interest to you is escaping a gravity well. So, as the physics of it works out, the force of gravity can be modeled as a force that is dependent on the square of the distance. Now, I'm going to gloss over the fact that time is continuous, not discrete. Don't worry if you don't know what I mean by that. Just note that there is an extra step here that I'm omitting in order to make this example directly comparable to what I've been talking about. But the math all works out all the same in the end. So because the force of gravity decreases with the square of the distance, what we have is a series that looks something like the series 1 over n squared. And since this is a series that is known to converge, what that means is that with enough force, or with a fast enough velocity, in fact, you don't need force at all, just a high enough velocity, there is a point at which you, the moving object within a gravity well, can escape the gravity well forever. Wow, that was bad. But that's just kind of Jacob. Unfortunate. Starting with only 1 health. Ah, man, I'm gonna be late. Or, maybe through the magic of editing, I'll be able to extend this run and make it look like nothing happened at all. But we're not at that point just yet. Okay. So, for a little more context on the example I just gave, consider this. Gravity technically acts over an infinite distance. You can be infinitely far away from a planet and still feel the pull of gravity towards it. However, it is very, very small at very large distances. Oh, great. Well, at least I'm pretty good. I am very tempted to blow that up. Never mind. As much as I would like the red candle, I have to go for the soul heart. I mean, come on. So gravity, even though it acts at an infinite distance, has a sort of, how do I put this? Because it decreases so sharply with distance, well, not that sharp, but sharply enough to converge, you only need a finite amount of energy in order to permanently escape the gravity well. And energy in this case, in the form of kinetic energy, that is, you're moving fast enough away from the gravity well such that you will never, ever return to it. So that's pretty neat, but, you know, that's just one example. Are there others? Of course there are. But I haven't prepared any others. More important than that, though, is that the biggest uses of limits in the real world are in relation to derivatives and integrals. Both derivatives and integrals are defined by limits. And derivatives and integrals are very useful, even though not many real-life engineers tend to use them in day-to-day application. Because, well, I mean, they're supposed to know what they're doing, but, and I don't mean to say that they don't, but software does a lot of the heavy math lifting these days. You need to know how to do this stuff in order to land the job, but then once you have the job, it's mostly just dealing with software. So, what is a derivative? Again, I don't expect to get to integrals today, but I should certainly now, much to my own chagrin, be able to describe derivatives, and I am tempted to just leave immediately, but it's not like I have the planetariums unlocked yet or anything, so yeah. Ow. I am a mess. I'm a slob. And I am sorry to myself, mostly. Please don't. Okay. Now. Yes. Thank you. No, never again. That is pretty good. Ooh, that is very good. And in case I get a single penny, I regret coming into this room now. I very much regret going into that room. That was depressing. Although I need a bomb. I'm not comfortable entering the boss unless I have a bomb. I could use the High Priestess like a bomb. Yeah, know what, sure. Never mind, that's... ow, gross. Gross. Okay, what is a derivative? So, the short of it is that it is... Sorry, I'm being distracted by real-life things. The short of it is that a derivative is the slope of a function at any given point. Why does this matter? this matters a lot for almost every application. If you ever have a function, if you ever have a numerical way of describing anything at all, then knowing where it is going and how quickly it is getting there are typically pretty important. Now, it is not my goal with this series to be overly technical with anything. My ultimate goal, my stated goal, which is still true, is that I just wanted to play this game and sort of ramble. I don't mean to put anyone through any terrible memories or anything like that. I just want to talk about stuff that I find interesting, and, you know, most days, if I can allot the time for it, I'd love to learn new things and then share those new things with other people. That would be pretty cool. But today, we are still talking about what? Huh? What? Oh. Okay. We are still talking about integrals. Ooh. Yeah, let's get that back. So let me wrap up the discussion about integrals. Ignore me. As I wait for the "Are you a wizard" effect to go away. The discussion about derivatives. I want to define derivatives. What am I doing? There we go. Much better. Oh, yes, please. I want to talk about derivatives, at the very least introduce them. There are, of course, a whole bunch of implications of derivatives, a whole bunch of uses, but I'm not gonna get into those. Not here, not today. Again, it's not my intention to be too overly technical with all this stuff. Like, maybe I'll cover differential equations a little bit one day, but that doesn't mean that I'm gonna go into too many technical details. I don't think this is a great format for this. If I were to try that, that is. But, back to where I was. So, you have limits of sequences and series. Oh, booey. Yeah, okay. So, in this context, what then is a derivative? You almost outplayed me.
Experimental pill.
You know, I'll take the speed back over the luck. A derivative can be simply defined as the slope of a function at any given point. Now, the derivative itself can be seen as a function of the function that you take the derivative of, which is okay, which is kind of wild. But you can also take the derivative at a point to come up with an individual value, or what the slope is at that point. Again, the slope effectively tells you how quickly the function is changing, which you can then use indirectly through some fancy or some non-fancy means to figure out where the function might be going in the future. Wow! No way! Oh. No way! I have both the chubs. Thank you for the bomb. Anyway, bet you can't tell that this video was edited, huh? Like, there's definitely a very smooth transition. Like, you couldn't even tell, really, when I stopped talking about one thing and started talking about another. I'm pretty smooth like that, aren't I? Can I get my luck back? No, I am not allowed to. Well, let's clean this guy up first. Your powers don't work on me. Max tier rate, nice. Alright, now, let me show you. Bam! The definition of a derivative. The definition of the derivative as it is taught in school is often defined as the limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h. Sorry, f of x minus f of x plus h all over h as h goes to 0. Now you can't simply plug in 0 for h because otherwise you'd be dividing by 0. I'm not showing the formula here, but what I am showing is what the formula represents. So if we have some function, which is this curvy thing that's going on, please ignore the, but if you want to focus on the gameplay, I've left things translucent, rather. How did that hit me? Oh well, I'm gonna get these chests then. Ooh, that was tight. So, we have a squiggly little function here, and we have a point x that we're interested in taking the derivative of. Yeah, I'll blow you up. Thank you. So, we then have h, which is some distance in the domain, in the x value, that we move away from, and we again look at f of now x plus h, and we're comparing these 2 points. And if you really think about what the definition of the derivative is saying, it's a slope calculation. That's all it really is. We are calculating the slope between these 2 points, f of x and f of x plus h. Now, as h gets smaller and smaller and closer to 0, it doesn't matter how it gets close to 0, just that its limit is 0. What we get is that these slope calculations approach a singular number. Was that fancy? Did that look good? Should I be ashamed of myself? Let me know in the comments. Well, now I have money to donate again. And I'm doing great on time, like fantastic really. Anyway, the slope calculations converge on a singular number, that is the derivative. The derivative of the function at the point x, which gives us a line, the slope value, the value of the derivative, can give us a line that is tangential then to the function at that point. Yeah, okay. Well, sure. Now, I've sort of already said what some of the things that derivatives are useful. I don't need to tap out. I press the button. There we go. And it's gone. I've already sort of mentioned how derivatives are useful. They really show up all over the place. Oh, ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay. Ow. I don't want to donate more. I'm gonna be greedy. Although I have so much time left. Look at that. And I am certain in the future I will go over more practical uses for derivatives. I mean, it's all over the place really in math and differential equations and physics. But this is basically what a derivative is and why it matters. And now I'll just sort of ramble about some related stuff. So, in order for a function to have a derivative, it needs to be continuous. That means you need to be able to draw the function, if you're looking at like a pen and paper, draw it without lifting the pen off of the paper whatsoever. But that alone is not enough. I'm not donating that. I will take that. Ha ha ha. But that is actually not enough alone to guarantee that a function has a derivative. That was tight. Tight, tight, tight. As it turns out, if you have a function that is a fractal, if you've never seen a fractal function, I recommend looking it up. It's pretty interesting. Where, like, no matter how far you zoom in, it's always rocky looking. Such a function like that doesn't have a derivative because the slope doesn't really exist no matter how infinitely close you get to the function. While I'm here, do I have any? I don't really have any tier effects that benefit. Let's see, we have fly, greed, triple shot. Ooh. Do I take triple shot? I might take triple shot. Yeah, I think this is a good choice. I've got pretty good damage now. Anyway, the slope of a fractal function doesn't make sense because the more you zoom in on it, the more you realize that it's always rocky looking. The values f of x and the value f of x plus h are never going to approach a singular number. They're always going to jiggle a lot. But outside of fractals, pretty much every continuous function has a derivative at almost all points. Unless they don't, because math kind of works like that. Why was I targeting the wrong, whatever. This is gonna be a satisfying boss rush. Ow. Well, aside from that, but, you know, I'm just gonna choose to ignore that. So much damage. Pin? Or the frail? The frail. Pin. More damage. Ow. Yeah, that's right. Get off your high horse. Now the frail. Hide the frail. Ow. Yeah, I'm doing this to myself. But that's okay, I'm fully aware. I'm in control right now, really, of myself. No, no. I hate that attack. Anyway, this is really all I'm gonna talk about. Limits and derivatives today. I want to move away from talking more about these technical concepts, only because, again, it is getting more difficult for me to focus when I really need to. Although it is nice to have a predetermined topic of conversation. Oh boy, Judas's Shadow. I hate that item. Maybe I would have preferred not unlocking it. I love Curse of the Blind. It's my least favorite curse. I am going to tank a hit on the boss, I believe. No way. Oh. Well, if I didn't have the Fool, that would have been very bad. It is already very bad. But not terrible, because I have the Lost Contact. Anyway, I just want to say this to halfway apologize for all the technical stuff and for not, for just kind of being a weird series, but this is what I want to do. And you know, if I'm not fit to be a super popular YouTuber guy person, then that's okay, because I'm not trying to be. I'm just doing a series that I want to do where I talk about things that I'm passionate about, whether I've known them for years or I've only recently learned about them. And I wanted to talk about calculus, mostly because of how most people don't really like it. Rather, not that people don't like it. I mean, people certainly don't like it, but more that the American public education system really does it a disservice by making it extra boring when it already isn't that great. It would really help if students could have their questions answered by teachers that really know what they're talking about, rather than just, this is the way the curriculum is, please cooperate, you know? You better give it to me. You better give me food. That is not food. I'll take that, actually. Okay, you have another chance, maybe. That is not food. My patience is running thin. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Ah, I hate these enemies. Don't you... Okay, we should be fine. We should be absolutely fine now. I simply need to die. What? It resets? Since when? I have never known that. I've never seen that happen. You've got to be kidding me. And I almost killed myself right there. Huh. Well, that may have just ruined my chances. Yeah, I don't care. I'll continue. Now, to talk a little bit more just about this series itself, and what I'm doing, and what I'd like to do, because I might as well... Oh, no. I mean, you'd figure that I've talked about this enough already, and maybe you're tired of hearing it. But I think it's nice to have a predetermined topic of conversation, and I also think it's pretty nice to learn new things, and I hope you agree, because I like learning stuff, and I'm pretty good at it too, and I hope that I'm able to make learning interesting. And fun. Hopefully fun. Not just interesting. Of course, I'd also like to be a generally entertaining person, which I am already in my various friend groups, but doing it in front of a camera live is a bit different, you know? It takes some getting used to. And I'll get there eventually. I'm not trying to become a YouTuber, per se, but even so... Ooh. Yeah, okay, I figured you'd be close. Even so... Uh-oh. I'd like to give this my best shot, and I recognize that I have a lot of learning and growing to do. And, yeah, that's it for today. Now, here's hoping I can get it uploaded on time. You know, in my previous save files, I was able to at least unlock the negative before, before beating Mom's Heart 10 times in a row. Well, not in a row, but 10 times total, but again, I'm still getting used to this format. So, that will do it for today, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you did, maybe you didn't learn anything new at all today, but hopefully you were entertained and maybe at least reminded or given better context for limits and derivatives. And that's really all I can hope for. I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.